remember that they're changing my voice. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about the cognitive perspective of psychology. And I'm going to use myself as an example because we need a solid example. And it also overkills a lot of my other videos when you see why it's logical to use me as an example. So imagine if every attractive female only dated people who are evil brutes, people who are like Bebop and Rocksteady in the Ninja Turtles cartoon, Pee Wee Herman, weirdos. Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, he's a weird looking person, right? He was a weirdo and a weird looking person. Gacy. Okay. Weinstein. Bill Cosby. Imagine if they only dated these people. If you're a scientist and you're looking at that, you'd say, hey, that doesn't make sense. That's unnatural. Animals tend to reproduce with healthier animals. It's nature, right? You look at the fruit, for example, on the tree, you say, okay, I want the healthier fruit. But it's more than that. Because with human beings, righteousness is supposed to factor in. Do you want a mate who's going to cheat on you? Do you want to be able to brag that your mate is righteous and that you're dating a good person? What have you? So we have to properly define ideal. And ideal basically is me, right? It is me. Someone who's mulatto, okay, mixed. Why mixed? Because if after hundreds and hundreds of years of you being from a certain race, okay, and living in a multicultural place, or a place that may as well be a multicultural place, if you're still one race, it suggests that you have inferior genes when compared to somebody who's mixed. Now, why? Well, you don't live in Nigeria or something that's far away from, the other races. You live in America. Or you live in the Middle East or Egypt. Okay, why would you only date your race time and time again? Religions are like intelligence tests. Okay, when we're talking about other people's religion. Say, are you dumb enough to maintain the cultural norms of the religion, or are you smart enough to transcend it? Look at religious people, look at Mormons, look at Catholics, look at people carefully. If you don't transcend all religions in a way that goes far beyond the New Age nonsense and the spiritual movements that you see, then you're not very smart. Now why? That goes back to cognition. How you think, your mental processes, learning, memory, language, development, problem solving, critical thinking. It goes back to your mental processes. And I write this part down for those of you who are confused about what the cognitive perspective is. Your mental processes are affected by your conscious. They're affected by your conscious. There's a reason why martial artists, historically the most serious of them, went beyond other people. Because they are dealing in the conscious mind. Conscious mind over matter. First and foremost, you're conscious. For example, when I decided to make this video, it wasn't because of my subconscious. I made a conscious decision to make this video. Okay? When they hack your brain remotely, it dabbles in your subconscious. But you still look around and say, hey, I'm sitting in a car right now. I'm by a restaurant right now. It's the morning time. I'm wearing a blue sweater. You still make these kind of calls. You're still consciously aware of these things. Okay? And I'm saying, why am I still doing the right thing in life? It's not because of people manipulating my subconscious at every turn. It's because of my conscious decisions. So the psychodynamic perspective would argue that the unconscious controls more of your mind and your thoughts than you think. Much more. Where the cognitive perspective, those who, contribute to that, those who believe in the cognitive perspective, rather, they would argue that it's more about your mental processes. Okay, the person who believes in the humanist perspective would argue it's a matter of choices. Okay, and striving for personal growth. But how do we get there? That's why I'm using the pictures on the screen. When we're talking about Elmer Fudd type people, dopey type people for the purpose of teaching and making it entertaining. I'll call it, when we're talking about dopey type of motherfuckers, is their problem that they're not striving for personal growth enough? Yeah, but it starts with their cognition. They're dumbasses. They're too dumb to make the decision with all the information they're given in life, the information age, the school system, the people they see around them. They're too dumb to make the conscious decision to strive for personal growth in a certain way that changes their behavior in a way that's respectable. They need somebody to take control of them. They're like a dog. Okay? Can a lizard or a dog make the decision to be a very insightful and wise human being? No, because of their brain quality, brain activity, and brain function. So it starts with the brain. Okay, it starts with God, then breeding, and and then it goes to the brain. When it comes to human behavior, what you have right now, it's your brain. Then your brain has a certain quality, you have a certain consciousness, and you say, okay, what am I going to do here? Now, when we're talking about martial arts, what's the difference between a white belt and a black belt in popular culture? Well, a white belt has to cultivate mind, body, soul, and spirit to the point where he's a black belt. He still hasn't done that yet, right? And it never stops. You continue to cultivate mind, body, soul, and spirit. So it's a matter of mental development. If you don't develop your mind, you will be a dumbass. And you're not going to strive for personal growth the same way that you would if you did. However, if we all start doing martial arts at the same age, do we have the same mind, body, soul, and spirit? No. We have different physiology. We have different default genetics. And this is why the people who are from the lowest stock came to the conclusion that they should sabotage everybody else and try to seem superior, wear a crest and a suit, and be part of privileged organizations and say, yes, 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 we are superior. Okay, that's why they took that route. And it's important for me to say that, because no decent person wants the most evil people on the planet to cheat everyone else. People with a long history of sabotaging other people to cheat everyone, especially out of the most attractive females, and some of them still seem somewhat innocent, though they all have failed miserably at this time. So the average attractive female has a very mediocre brain with the accompanying bad genes. They have lots of clear-cut evidence that shows them that they should see me as the ideal and to die for boyfriend. Why? Because I'm more handsome than everyone else naturally, at least back in the, not anymore now. It's part of how you know that I'm honest. I'm only 43. I could still be extremely handsome, but they sabotage me. So I admit that now I'm not as handsome as I was when I was 34 or 36. Okay? 35. Because they've been fuming and poisoning me and sabotaging me in a way that is severe in the last 9 years or so. Okay? But back then, when they came across me on Facebook and MySpace on dating sites, why did they say to themselves, I don't care that he's a handsome guy in a martial art outfit that is not corny, okay, that you can tell he's actually a great warrior, you can tell that he's the top martial artist, really. Why did they say to themselves that they don't care about that they're not interested? Because when it comes to their conscious thinking, they're making a conscious decision. The subconscious is affecting it, yes, but it's first and foremost conscious. They don't learn, their mental processes are a joke. Their critical thinking is laughable. They are a dumb bitch, okay? Like if Dopey on the screen had a wig and lipstick on, okay? Dumb fucking bitch saying, hey, I don't care that Jesus, the top martial artist ever possible, is also the most handsome person ever possible. He's not from my religion or my race or my parents wouldn't approve. These are dumb bitch decisions. Their memory of things are dumb bitch memories. The way they communicate by their body language and their thinking, their language, the way they speak and think, dumb bitch language. You see what I'm saying? The way they developed their form of articulation. Now, language is more than just whether you use words like astounded, okay, or diabolical, or supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, or whatever the fuck. Language is how you apply it. What are you talking about and why? Are you talking about knitting? Are you just like, I'm a professor who talks about the same stupid shit all the time, okay? Missing the point of life. Do you miss the point of life? Does your language reflect that you do not have a lot of existential intelligence, naturalist, interpersonal, intrapersonal? Is that what it reflects? Who cares what kind of grammar you use? We're not all from the long line of people who spoke English. I'm mulatto. My patriarchal line is from a long line of people who spoke Igbo, not English. Who gives a shit about grammar and fancy words and intellectual jargon? When I say these stupid motherfuckers, I'm right to say it. Or some other guy who thinks he's smarter than me might have better grammar than I do, especially after being sabotaged, might say, don't use foul language. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Probably a Christian. Where Jesus and John the Baptist called people names. You brood of vipers, you dogs. What is a female dog? A bitch. He's calling a female, Canaanite female a dog, he's calling her a bitch. But they're not as smart as I am. So their behavior is a result of poor brain quality and poor genes and a lack of the proper tutelage, the proper teaching. They were taught by Flanders, George Bush, Gacy. They were taught by bitch-ass motherfuckers instead of taught to be a man or a woman when they started off with those poor genes because they come from a long line of people who were taught by bitch-ass motherfuckers, and that expresses itself in the brain. You see what I'm saying? You can imagine it pisses you off when there's a bunch of namby-pamby sissies, a bunch of hippies holding each other's hands. No, we need to strive for personal growth. We're fairies, we're butterflies. We are weebles, weebles. It's some bitch-ass fucking shit. That's bitch-ass brain quality. The situation calls for people to man up, and if they're a female, to woman up, and to rally for sound solutions and a logical plan. To give people their rightful places. When you think the answer is, no, we're humanists. No, that's a religious argument. No, we have no viable counter-argument, but we're humanists. It's fucking pathetic. So I think it's the subconscious and it's not his fault. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You're the same dickhead who would lock someone up for their crime. But when it comes to your souls being judged, you're like, no, it's subconscious. It's all subconscious. Now lock that person up. Lock him too. Matter of fact, punish him. Punish him thoroughly. Fucking retarded. If you think it shouldn't make you mad, why not? Make your argument in the comments. People say biological. They're close. They're close to right. Say biological processes control our thoughts and actions, including hormones, neurotransmitters, and genes. Yeah, but that's also part of the cognitive perspective. What is the bottom line? Okay? Is if you don't think you're thinking, you don't fix your thought process, then you are going to make dumb behavioral decisions. And it's going to reflect in your fucking behavior. Hey, guys, I'm a dumbass. I refuse to be taught by Jesus. I'm a dumb fuck. That's what fucking happens. You're talking about socio-cultural. That people's thoughts and actions are influenced by cultural factors like stereotypes, cultural norms, media, and racial differences. Yes, but why are they influenced? You're like, I'm a dumb bitch. That sounds like a good idea. Because you didn't get your thought processes together. It's evolutionary. The people's thoughts and actions are adverse for survival. Okay? For example, from this perspective, might argue that a fear of public speaking exists as the brain is interpreting it as an actual, real-life danger or a life or death situation, like being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Okay, so your thoughts, basically the evolutionary, the biological, okay, and the cognitive are connected to some degree. But when you have to choose what is the determinant, what is the main one, it's cognitive. Okay? If they have some kind of phobia, can they, develop their mentality? Can they develop their thinking and their brain processes in a certain way that overcomes it? Yes. So whether or not they're smart enough to say, hey, I want to develop my mind to overcome the socio-cultural obstacles and the evolutionary obstacles and whatever genetic obstacles they have within reason, okay, that's the determinant in the vast majority of cases. Now, I wanted to talk more about the pictures on the screen, but I went way over time here. So when you look at this situation, you consider I'm the top martial artist ever possible, and I'd outmaneuver Elmer Fudd blindfolded with both my hands tied behind my back and kick his head off, okay? with him having all of his limbs free. You can tell that I'm smarter than he is. I run circles around him in terms of martial arts, so I'm smarter than he is. Mind, body, soul, and spirit. I outwit him, I out-hit him, outsmart him, outmaneuver him, outman-over, superior man, more intelligent man, more evolved, divine, what have you. All cockiness, I'm not cocky. These are the facts here. So when you see his female counterpart, should the bitch be seen as equal to me? No. That's a dumb fucking bitch who's more comparable to a fucking dog than to me. So why the fuck should I be shunned by women because they're fucking stupid when they're supposed to be trained by me to be fucking smart? Okay, so I'm going to make another version of this where I talk about it in a way that's very calm, and I'll try to make it shorter. But to make a long story short, you should understand why females should all submit to me for me to choose one. Okay? Because there's a certain divine order to be considered here. And when we see that the state refuses to make it so I'm a celebrity, so I have money, it overkills that's the solution. Okay, so females in the area, for example, some females from out of town, what have you, they come here thousands and thousands, and I pick one. That way, millions and millions of people haven't heard of me, but still, I can pick someone to be a suitable helper. All of them attractive, mind you. So when they refuse to set the stage for females to be aware of me and say, hey, I think he's right and I should date him, then you're cheating me out of a suitable helper to the extreme, and it's the worst case of romantic injustice possible, and the effects are catastrophic, unbelievably catastrophic on everyone's families, especially if they're cheating me out of my right to lead, which basically everyone is, except for my parents are blameless. The effects are horrible. That's who you become in reality. You become those monsters that cheated the most righteous person that could ever possibly live, the top martial artist ever. Imagine how it affects every generation's marriages. It's insane for them not to say, hey, let's do that. When in popular culture, many cultures sacrifice virgins. They're whoring women. They're beating them. They're drugging them. They're abusing them. They're extorting them. But they can't make that very basic and decent and righteous decision to have them submit for me to pick one? It's outrageous.